Hi guys, it's Miss Jenks. If you don't know me, I'm the advisor for NAMI, and I want to talk to you guys about a very important issue, and that is your health. More specifically, your mental health. And you may think, well, yeah, those aren't the same. They are the same. Mental health is health in general. And so I have been hearing lots of people talk about anxiety that they're having during this lockdown. Maybe you're having anxiety about even going back to school. Cognitive behavior therapy has been something that's been super helpful. And just by learning about it, you can actually help yourself with it. Of course, the best thing to do is to talk to a therapist. But there are tools out there.
One helpful tool is
An app called Wobot. And Wobot just
helps you look at
the ants that are coming in, the automatic negative thoughts, and helps to like reframe them so that they're not causing as much distress. And so I wanted to take a look at those cognitive distortions or automatic negative thoughts. And there's all kinds of information out there about cognitive distortions, and those are the ants. And so I wanted to just go through a PowerPoint that I completely swiped off the internet because it goes through how you can look at these cognitive distortions and actually help yourself out and make it so that you are a better student. In fact, we know that anxiety gets in the way if we're trying to learn something. So I want you to be able to use this knowledge about cognitive distortions to help you out academically.
this is a PowerPoint that was presented by Bethany Colapret and Dr. Valerie Russo. Cognitive distortions. Cognitive distortions are automatic negative thoughts. You don't really have control of them coming into your brain, and they happen to everybody. The sooner you're able to identify a cognitive distortion, the sooner you're going to be able to help yourself. We can get to some of these cognitive distortions where you're stuck and you really can't help yourself, so it is important to be talking to a therapist. Whether you have panic attacks or not, cognitive behavior therapy can help. So let's take a look at these automatic negative thoughts. Mental filtering. This is when you are looking at the negative things and the negative things only. So, your teacher's saying, hey, you did really well on this part, but this is not okay. You just focus on the thing that they criticized. So that would be mental filtering. All or nothing thinking, commonly called black and white thinking. If a situation falls short of perfect, you see it as a total failure. A way to recognize all or nothing thinking is when you're saying things like always and never. I missed the problem, so I will never understand physics. It's always going to be too hard. And so that is all or nothing thinking, or black and white thinking. Overgeneralization, when we draw a general conclusion without sufficient evidence or experience. So often people make a very broad conclusion based on a single incident or a single piece of evidence. If something bad happens only once, it's expected to happen over and over again. I answered that question incorrectly in physics. I must be really bad at physics. So to see if overgeneralization is an issue for you, you might ask yourself what evidence suggests that things could now be different. Should and must statements. You tell yourself that things should be the way you hoped or expected them to be. Musts, oughts, and have-tos are similar offenders. Such statements can be personal standards of behavior, standards for other people, or expectation about the way the world functions. So, something like, I should know how to do this problem. I shouldn't have to do it 16 times to figure it out. So should and musting. It's the tendency to make unrealistic, unreasonable demands on yourself or others. So really, something that you can prevent is must things be this way? Is there another way to do this? So I often do this one. When I catch myself doing it, it's like, oh, I'm shoulding all over myself again. So don't should all over yourself. Emotional reasoning. A cognitive process by which a person concludes that their emotional reaction proves something is true, regardless of the observed evidence. Can be self-fulfilling prophecy. I feel anxious. I know I'm going to fail this test. Or I feel incompetent. Maybe I shouldn't be able to do this thing. So, emotional reasoning is the tendency to interpret your experience based on how you're feeling in the moment. So, again, a question that would be asked if you want to see if this is going on, what evidence suggests how I am seeing this isn't accurate? So, we're looking for evidence. Personalization and blame. So, personalization occurs when you hold yourself personally responsible for an event that isn't entirely under your control. So I had the notes and was late for my study group. I caused everyone to feel irritated. If I had been on time, everyone would have felt more prepared. So taking responsibility for other people's performance on their test. Some people do the opposite. They blame. They blame other people or circumstances for their problems and overlook ways that they might be contributing to the problem. Usually doesn't work very well because other people will resent being scapegoated and they will just toss the blame right back on your lap. It's like the game of hot potato and no one wants to get stuck with it. Are you personalizing it as the tendency to take the blame for absolutely everything that goes wrong in your life or blaming other people? So who or what else could have played a part in this is a question you might want to ask. Magnification and minimization consists of perceiving a case or situation in a greater or lesser light than it truly deserves. An example of magnification is when you make a small mistake and you think you've made a really big one, like you're making a mountain out of a molehill. You exaggerate the importance of the problems and shortcomings, or you minimize the importance of your desirable qualities. A way to counter this is to see, what if I believed I was deserving and capable? That might be a question that you would ask if you're minimizing things that you do well. Catastrophizing. Making something into a catastrophe even when it's not. When we catastrophize, we tell ourselves that something is so awful, so terrible that we won't be able to handle it, and we fall apart or die. What if I fail this exam and I have to go in front of the progress committee and I flunk out of school? What if things aren't as bad as I make them out to be might be a question you might want to ask yourself if you are catastrophizing. Discounting the positive. You reject experiences by insisting they don't count. If you do a good job, you may tell yourself that it wasn't good enough, or that anyone could have done it as well. Discounting the positive takes the joy out of life and makes you feel inadequate and unrewarded. I did that project well, but that doesn't mean I'm competent. I just got lucky. Labeling involves a judgment about yourself or someone else as a person rather than seeing the behavior as something the person did that doesn't define him or her as an individual. Labels are abstractions. They lead to anger, anxiety, frustration, and low self-esteem. I made a mistake. I'm stupid. So labeling is a tendency to make global statements about yourself or others based upon a situation-specific behavior. So another question is really looking at that evidence. Where's the evidence that this is true in all situations? Jumping to conclusions involves making decisions without having enough information. People often reach conclusions from little or no evidence. The conclusions are usually negative interpretation or predictions that arrive from fictitious A, either mind reading, or B, fortune telling. Mind reading, without checking it out, you arbitrarily conclude that someone is reacting negatively to you. Fortune telling, you predict that things will turn out badly. Before a test, you may tell yourself, I'm really going to blow it. What if I flunk? If you're depressed, you may tell yourself, I'll never get better. The question to ask yourself is, what if there's another explanation for this? Jumping to conclusions, the tendency to make irrational assumptions about people and circumstances. Reframing. So we do want to try to reframe those distorted thought processes, those automatic negative thoughts. So explore what's stressing you. Evaluate your situation with a different viewpoint. Maybe ask those questions. Find what you can change. If you could, what parts of your situation would you be most like to change? With positive reframing, you may see possibilities you weren't aware of before. Identify the benefits. Find the benefits in the situation you face. Discover the humor. Find aspects of your situation that are so absurd that you can't help but laugh. There are tools out there that can help you. One tool is the Wobot, and it's something I actually use. And Wobot really just helps you take a look at the cognitive distortions that you're having and also helps you track the things that you are feeling grateful for. So it's important, however you do that, whether it's an app or some kind of worksheet, to really take a look at the things that you can control. So you can control your actions and reactions. You can control your boundaries. You can control your expectations. You can control how much time you invest in something. You can control how you treat yourself and how you treat others and how you interpret what happens. So take hold of those cognitive distortions. Don't let the ants get you. Of course, it's not always all that easy. So it really is important to get some help if you are experiencing some panic attacks or you're just having some emotional distress. So cognitive behavior therapy is something that you should be doing maybe with a therapist, but learning about it actually can help you. So remember, mental health is just health. So keep yourself healthy and remember that NAMI meets on Thursdays between 12 and 12:30.